Hi, this is your Professor Sudha Kolathuparambil, Section 9.2, Hypothesis Test for a Population Mean Standard Deviation Known. In this section, you are going to learn a lot of new terms. The objectives in this section is to perform hypothesis test with the critical value method and p-value method, and describe the relationship between the hypothesis test and confidence interval, and describe the relationship between alpha and probability of error. Report the p-value or the test statistic value. Distinguish between the statistical significance and practical significance. There are two ways to perform hypothesis test. Both methods produce the same result. The methods are critical value method and the p-value method. In the critical value method, we need to find the test statistic. Test statistic is the z-score of the sample mean. So z-score of the sample mean means z equal x bar minus mu. Assume sigma is known. So sigma over square root of n. Remember, when the sample size is larger than 30, the sample mean x bar is approximately normally distributed with the mean mu, and standard deviation will be sigma over square root of n. Let's look at this example. The College Board reported that the mean SAT score in a recent year is 515 with a standard deviation 116. The earlier study suggests that the coach student should have a mean SAT score approximately 530. A teacher who runs an online program thinks that the students coached by this method have a higher mean score than 530. So the null hypothesis will be mu equal 530 and alternate hypothesis will be mu greater than 530. Now the teacher draws a random sample of 100 students who are planning to take the SAT and enrolls them into the online coaching program. After completing the program, their sample SAT score is 562. This is actually higher than the null hypothesis value, that means this is greater than 530. Can he reject the null hypothesis and conclude that the mean SAT math score for this student is greater than 530? The sample mean 562 differs somewhat from the null hypothesis value for the population mean 530. The key idea behind a hypothesis test is to measure how large this difference is. If the sample mean differs from null hypothesis only slightly, then null hypothesis may well be true, because slight difference can easily be due to chance. However, if the difference is larger, it is less likely to due to chance, and null hypothesis is less likely to be true. We must now determine how strong the disagreement is between the sample mean and the null hypothesis. We do this by calculating the value of the test statistics. So the test statistics is the z-score of the sample mean. So first calculate the z-score. Mean is here with the null hypothesis. Z-score 2.76, or this is the test statistic. The value 562 that we observe as a z-score of 2.76, which means that our observed mean is 2.76 standard deviation away from the assumed mean 530. The value of h bar is in the tail of the distribution and far from the null hypothesis 530. Visually, it appears that the evidence against the null hypothesis is fairly strong. In the critical value method, we choose a critical value which forms a boundary between the values that are considered unusual and the values that are not. The region that contains the unusual values is called the critical region. So this shaded part, this is the critical region. If the value of the test statistic is in the critical region, then we reject the null hypothesis. The probability that we use to determine whether an event is unusual is called the significance level. The significant level is denoted by alpha, like this, alpha. Therefore, the area of the critical region is equal to alpha. So, this is alpha. This area is alpha. The choice of alpha is determined by how strong we require the evidence against the null hypothesis to be ordered to reject it. Smaller the value of alpha, stronger we require the evidence to be. The most commonly used values for alpha is 0.05 and 0.01. In the left tail hypothesis test, if the test statistic is less than the critical value, then we reject the null hypothesis. In the right tailed hypothesis test, if the critical value is greater than the test statistic, then we reject the null hypothesis. For two tailed, the critical value, there will be two critical value, right? Easier is I always mark that critical values, then I shade the region. If the test statistics fall within this region, then I reject the null hypothesis. The table indicates the critical values of some commonly used significance level alpha. The assumption for performing a hypothesis test for mu and sigma known are: we have a simple random sample. Second is sample size is greater than 30 or the population is approximately normal. Let's look at this example. Read the question. The mean price of a gallon of regular grade gasoline was 2.82. A recently taken simple random sample of 50 gas station, average price of 2.77. Assume that the standard deviation is 0.15. An economist is interested in determining whether the mean price is less than 2.82. Use the critical value method to perform the hypothesis test at the significance level alpha equal 0.05. So first check the assumption. We have a simple random sample. The sample size is greater than 30 and the population standard deviation is none. So the assumptions are satisfied. Step 1. State the null and alternate hypothesis. Alternate hypothesis mu less than 2.82. Step 2. Choose the significance level and find the critical value. Since alpha is 0.05, so look at 0.05 and mu is less than 2.82, so this is a left tail, so the critical value correspond to that is negative 1.645. Step 3 is compute the test statistic. After finding the test statistic, determine whether to reject the null hypothesis or not. Value of the test statistic is in the critical region. Value of the test statistic is in the critical region here. So we reject the null hypothesis at the significance level alpha equal 0.05. Step 5 is state a conclusion. We conclude that the mean price of gallon of regular gasoline in Los Angeles is less than $2.82. Objective 2. perform hypothesis test with the p-value method. So we just learned the critical value method. With the critical value method, the value of the test statistic is considered to be unusual if it is in the critical region and not unusual if it is not in the critical region. We will now describe the p-value method, which provides more information than the critical value method. The critical value method tells us only whether the test statistics was unusual or not. The p-value method tells us exactly how unusual the test statistic is. For this reason, p-value method is more often used in practice. Look at this diagram. In this z-score or the test statistics is 2.76, and the area on the right side of the z equal 2.76, that is known as the p-value. So p-value is the area under the normal curve to the right of z equal 2.76. Smaller the area, that means the more extreme the value, the stronger is the evidence against the null hypothesis. So smaller the p-value, we will reject. The p-value is the probability, assuming that null hypothesis is true, of observing a value for the test statistics that is as extreme as or more extreme than the value actually observed. The smaller the p-value, the stronger evidence against the null hypothesis. If the p-value is less than alpha, we reject the null hypothesis. If p is greater than alpha, we do not reject the null hypothesis. So in this example, p-value is given. Do you reject at alpha equal 0.05? So now compare these two. Which one is p less than alpha or p greater than alpha? Compare that. Here p is less than 0.05, so we reject null hypothesis at the significant level 0.05 level. Okay. So b, do you reject at 0 at alpha equal 0.01? So here p will be, this is greater than 0.01, right? Okay, so we do not reject the null hypothesis at this level. This is an example to perform a hypothesis test using the p-value method. The mean height of adult men in United States is 69.7 inches with the standard deviation 3 inches. A sociologist believes that the mean height of a male business executive may be greater than the mean height of the entire male population. A simple random sample of 100 male business executive has a mean height of 69.9 inches. Assume that the standard deviation of the male executive height is sigma equals 3 inches. Can we conclude that the male business executives are taller on the average than the general male population at the significant level of alpha equal 0.05? So first check the assumption. Do we have a simple random sample, or is the sample size is greater than 30? So you can see that we have a simple random sample and the sample size is 100, so which is definitely greater than 30, and the population standard deviation is known. So the assumptions are satisfied. Step 1 is state the null and alternate hypothesis. Step 2, choose the significant level. Here the significant level is alpha equal 0.05. Step 3, compute the test statistic. Step 4, compute the p-value. Since the alternate hypothesis test is mu greater than 69.7, this is a right tail test. So p-value is the area under the right side of z equal 0.67. So z value is area under the right side of 0.67. So this area, use the table and find the area on the left side of z equal 0.67 and subtract that from 1 to get the p-value. So this is the p-value. Step 6 is state a conclusion. So I'm writing step 6, the conclusion at the top. So step 6, there is not enough evidence to conclude that male executive have a greater mean height than the adult male in general. The mean height of male executive may be the same as the mean height of the adult male in general. This is an example of a two-tailed hypothesis test. At a large company, the attitudes of workers are regularly measured with a standardized test. The scores on the test range from 0 to 100, with the higher score indicating the greater satisfaction with their job. The mean score overall the company's employee was 74. The mean score was 74 with the standard deviation 8. Sometimes ago, the company adopted a policy of telecommuting, and under this policy, the workers could spend 1 day per week working from home. After the policy had been in place, a random sample of 80 workers has given a test. So 80 workers, random sample, so n is actually 80. And they found the mean satisfaction had changed to 76. So 76 is x bar. Assume that the standard deviation is still 8. Can we conclude that the mean level of satisfaction is different since the policy change at the alpha equal 0.05 level? First check the assumption. We have a simple random sample. The sample size is 80, which is greater than 30, and the population standard deviation is known. Step 1 is state the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. The question says there is no difference between the mean level of satisfaction before and after telecommuting. That's why we are using not equal sign. We are interested in knowing whether the mean level has changed. We are not specifically interested in whether it went up or down. Step 2, choose a level of significance and compute the test statistic. Step 4, compute the p-value. The alternate hypothesis is mu not equal 74. So this is a two-tailed test. So the p-value is the sum of two areas. The area to the right of z equal to 0.24 and an equal area to the left of z equal negative 2.24. Step 5, interpret the p-value. P-value is 0.025. which is less than 0.05. So we reject the null hypothesis at alpha equal 0.05 level. Step 6, state the conclusion. So we conclude that the mean score among employees has changed since the adoption of telecommuting. So we can do the previous example using the calculator. So in the previous example, mu equal mu 0, that is 74, and sigma is known, sigma is 8, and the sample mean is 76 and n is 80. Press stat, select test, option 1 z test. Press enter. Input is not data, so select stats. Mu 0 is 74 and sigma is 8. Oh, we are not using L1, so make sure while selecting stats, highlight that and press enter, otherwise it won't select. Okay. So mu 0 is 74, sigma is 8, and mean is 76 and n is 80. Then you have three options: mu not equal mu 0, less than mu 0, or greater than mu 0. So in this example, mu is not equal mu 0. So make sure you highlight that and press enter. Then use the arrow key, calculate. Objective 3, describe the relationship between the hypothesis testing and confidence interval. In the previous example, we rejected the null hypothesis at the significant level 0.05. So we are saying that 74 is not a plausible value of mu. So a confidence interval contains all the values that are plausible at a particular level. And a hypothesis test tells us precisely how plausible a particular value is. Objective 4, the relation between alpha and the probability of an error. Recall that the type 1 error occurs if we reject the null hypothesis when it is true, and the type 2 error occurs if we do not reject the null hypothesis when it is false. When designing a hypothesis test, we would like to make the probabilities of these two errors small. In order to do this, we need to know how to calculate the probabilities of these errors. It is straightforward to find the probability of a type 1 error. It is equal to the significance level. So for example, if we perform a test at a significance level alpha equal 0.05, then the probability of type 1 error is equal 0.05. So when a test is performed at the significant level alpha, the probability of type 1 error is alpha. The probability of type 2 error is denoted by letter beta. Computing the probability of a type 2 error is more different than finding the probability of type 1 error. Type 2 error occurs when the null hypothesis is false and the decision is made not to reject. The probability of type 2 error depends on the true value of the parameter being tested. So because alpha is the probability of type 1 error, why don't we always choose a small value for alpha? The reason is that the smaller the value we choose for alpha, larger is the value of beta. the probability of making a type 2 error. So in summary, we can say that smaller a value we choose the significant level alpha, the smaller the probability of a type 1 error becomes, and larger the probability of a type 2 error becomes. Objective 5, report the p-value or the test statistic. Sometimes people report only that a test result was statistically significant at a certain level without giving the p-value. It is much better to report the p-value along with the decision whether to reject. There are two reasons for this. There is a big difference between the p-value that is just merely small enough to reject and one that is extremely small. For example, the significant level is alpha equal 0.05. There is a huge difference between p-value 0.049 and the p-value 0.001. So report the p-value and let the people to decide themselves what level to reject the null hypothesis. So when presenting the result of a hypothesis test, state the p-value or the value of the test statistics. Don't just state whether or not the null hypothesis was rejected. Objective 6, distinguish between the statistical significance and practical significance. When a result has a small p-value, we say that it is statistically significant. It is therefore tempting to think that statistically significant results must always be important. Sometimes statistically significant results do not have any practical importance or practical significance. For example, a new study program may raise student score by 2 points on a 100-point scale. This improvement may have a statistical significance, but is the improvement important enough to offset the cost of training teachers and the time investment on behalf of the students? When a result is statistically significant, we can only conclude that the true value of the parameter is different from the value specified by the null hypothesis. We cannot conclude that the difference is large enough to be important. So in this section, you learn what are the assumptions for performing hypothesis test about mu and sigma are known, and how to perform hypothesis test about mu and sigma known with the critical value method, and how to find and interpret the p-value, how to perform hypothesis test p-value method, how to describe the relation between the hypothesis test and the confidence interval, how to describe the relation between alpha and the probability error, and how to distinguish between the statistical significance and practical significance, why it is better to report p-value or the test statistics value along with the decision of a hypothesis test.